We're going to the Super Bowl. We have the 85 Bears defense. Even better. Woo! They're still pretty good. What happened?
Skol Vikings, let's win this game. Skol Vikings, honor your name.
And if you made it past that cringe intro, welcome to the Minnesota Vikings 2016 defense review. I reviewed the offense a few days ago. If you haven't seen that, that would be in the description down below or annotated at the end of this video. But without any further ado, let's talk about how Brian Robinson had quietly his best year since 2013, notching 7.5 sacks and 28 tackles and 3 forced fumbles. That's his best number since, like I said, 2013, where he had 9 sacks. His sack numbers are up, and he had to play a lot of inside. He played a lot of defensive tackle or inside defensive end on a lot of pass rushing situations, and he looped around and was really everywhere on our defense. He was a big leader on our whole team, really, but giant leader on our defense. So his wisdom and leadership was not forgotten. He is 33, one of the elders of our defense, besides Terrence Newman, of course. So where will he be next year? Oh, we'll have to see. But the rising of what could end up being the best defender on the whole Viking squad, Danielle Hunter, once this loads. Danielle Hunter put 56 tackles and 12.5 sacks and a forced fumble in small playing time. He was our second string defensive end. He was third in the league in sacks. 56 tackles for a defensive end is crazily big, and he's in a reduced role, which makes it even crazier. And he played both sides in defensive end. He spelled for Brian Robinson mainly, but he did spell for Everson Griffen at time to time. And he was always a force to be reckoned with. 12.5 sacks, nearly a sack a game. He was absolutely incredible all year long. But Everson Griffen, sack daddy Everson Griffen, 48 tackles, 8 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, very close numbers here, and Everson Griffen was a starter, and he was a Pro Bowler, I believe, a year ago. 48 tackles, still good for defensive end. That's about his average. 8 sacks, which is a pretty big disappointment for Everson Griffen. I think he almost expects double-digit sacks the last 2 years, 10.5 sacks. The year before that, 12 sacks. So is Everson Griffen declining? Well, I think it's a lot due to, I think he gets double teamed quite a bit, and B-Rob not being quite the force on the other side. I think his numbers, and he disrupts, he gets a lot of quarterback hits in there as well. So Everson Griffen still getting it done, and still being quite a force on our defensive line. But perhaps the biggest force on our whole defensive line has to go to the big man himself, Linval Joseph, who is just an absolute beast. The best nose tackle in the league knows by far, I have to say. 77 tackles, 4 sacks, 3 forced fumbled by a big 330-pound, 6'4" lineman. That's absolutely insane. 4 sacks. Last year he had a half a sack, but he had 3 sacks, 4 sacks in the last 3 years in that order. So this is right where Linval Joseph is supposed to be sack-wise, but 77 tackles is enormously high for a defensive tackle. And nose tackle, nevertheless, is being double teamed almost every single play, and he clutches in the back and lets our other playmakers get in there and make plays. So guys like Shamar Stephen try to fill in for the injured Shree Floyd, who I'll talk about Shree Floyd in a later video, but he was one of the bigger disappointments on the year. Who came in and didn't do a whole lot, because Tom Johnson really just outplayed him for the starting defensive tackle role when Shree Floyd went out, who got 2 sacks on the year and only 17 tackles, which is pretty disappointing. He's more of a pass rushing defensive tackle. But when Linval Joseph is better than both of those two, it really tells you how good that guy is. I think we'll be probably looking for a new defensive tackle in the draft, because Tom Johnson is 32. He's getting up there in age, and we don't know about the future of Shree Floyd. So now onto the linebacker core. Another guy that had a disappointing year was Anthony Barr, who still notched 70 tackles, 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble, and no interceptions. His tackle numbers are definitely a sign of concern if you're a Vikings fan. He played all 16 games. He only had 70 tackles. Last year, he only played 14 games and almost tied it at 68. And the year before that, he only played 12 games and got 70 as well. So, what happened? Does he just disappear for 4 games out of the year? Or does he just have some type of fetish where he has to hit 70 tackles? Anything more than that, he just revolts and just gives up. But whatever the case may be, it looked like, I'm not sure if he was injured. He was just, Mike Zimmer said that he was just playing a little bit slow. He just wasn't being as aggressive as he really should be, and he got called out. And he played a little bit better after that, but 2 sacks, another thing that's definitely low. We got 3.5 sacks last year and 4 sacks the year before that. 4 pass defenses is nice. He's still one of the best pass defending linebackers in the league, but the guy that's a little bit better, Eric Kendricks. 109 tackles, leading the team, 2.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 1 interceptions. I would say that the MVP of our defense. Absolutely incredible. He was all over the field. Him and Linval Joseph all were amazing, the best combo. Linval Joseph took on the double teams, and if he doesn't get the tackle, Eric Kendricks is right behind him to clean it up. 2.5 sacks for a guy that had to play a lot more pass coverage. 9 pass defense is incredible. He had his pick 6 and 70 total tackles. Only 39 of those were assisted, so the majority of those were just all him one-on-one tackling a lot of speedy guys right up the middle of the field. Eric Kendricks, him and Linval Joseph carried our defense all year long. Now on to some more veteran leadership on our linebacker core. Came from longtime Minnesota Viking Chad Greenway, who got 41 tackles on the year and did notch an interception. Now Chad, of course, has been playing in a reduced role, especially since the NFL shifted to where your nickel package will give your primary package. So Chad Greenway shifted to the weak outside linebacker role, and with that, he got a lot less playing time. And with his age, Mike Zimmer's just used him in a little bit of a spell way. But he still gets in there. You don't see Chad miss tackles. You do see defenders run around him. He definitely lost a few steps. That's be very interesting to see if Chad Greenway stays on the team. Will he retire? I really doubt he goes anywhere else. But next year, I think he'll either be a Viking and be in about the same type of role as he was this year, or he'll just retire. My money will be on him retiring. But Chad Greenway has had quite the career in Minnesota, and he still had a fine year last year, even though he only had 41 tackles. Now onto the defensive backfield of Minnesota, which was consistently probably the brightest spot of the year all year long. We struggled against the run at times, but our defensive backs were incredible, except for the Packers and Colts game, of course. But Xavier Rhodes, 52 tackles, 0 sacks, a forced fumble, and 5 interceptions, which led our team. And I believe was 3rd in the league in interceptions as well. He was very, very incredible at times. He looked like the best corner in the league. Shutting down guys like Odell Beckham do 30 yards. Larry Fitzgerald couldn't do much against him. When he had to go against a top-notch receiver, he did very, very well, but for some reason they messed up Zimmer's game plan, and Jordy Nelson torched us week 16. But usually Xavier Rhodes would go on the top corner, even Calvin Benjamin, just shut him down early in the year. He was incredible. He has to fix some consistency problems. He gets a little inconsistent at times, but Xavier Rhodes is still on the rise as going to be the next best cornerback in the league for years to come. In a year or two, he will have that title. And a guy that's helped him quite a bit his time here in Minnesota is the longtime veteran Terrence Newman, who, unlike Xavier Rhodes, who has consistency problems, Terrence Newman can't help being super, super consistent as he puts up the same type of numbers all year long. Yeah, he will give up a few short passes, but when he does, he makes the tackle. He's one of the most sure tacklers on the Vikings team in the whole NFL. Only 1 interception on the year. That's because quarterbacks know you don't want to test Terrence Newman. He may be 38 years old, but he still has instincts and plays the cornerback position very, very well. And I really just love his instincts to come on and make plays in the running game. 38 tackles on the year. It doesn't sound like a whole lot, but whenever teams got to the outside, you'd expect Terrence Newman to be right there to scoop it up. So, an interest to fill out the final cornerback position that started on the year was, my captain, Captain Mutterland. And to fill out the last starting cornerback of the year was Captain Mutterland, who played, of course, the slot corner position, 55 tackles, 1 forced fumble. You'd want your corners to all get at least 1 interception on the year. Doesn't really look good when you play 16 games and not just a single interception. But Captain Mutterland was definitely very good in the slot position. He's probably one of the best slot corners in the league. I'd probably say top 5 slot corner in the whole NFL. Aqib Talib being the best on the Broncos. Captain Mutterland is really, really good. You might give up a few short passes like Terrence Newman, but he's a sure tackler that shows with his 55 tackles on the year. And he's always around the ball. He gets his past defenses and always has a chance. He only got 3 on the year, but he's always right around the ball and makes it tough for even the best slot receivers to make plays on him. The only time when he struggles when they get the big size difference on him, and no corners really do good when you have a 6'3" wide receiver playing on against a 5'9" corner. Another story going into next year is Trey Waynes. Will he take over the spot of Terrence Newman at the other starting cornerback position, or will Terrence Newman retire to force Trey Waynes into that spot? Well, whatever the case may be, throughout the course of the year, I think Trey Waynes has shown that he can be a starting cornerback in this league. 50 tackles and 3 interceptions in a reduced cornerback role. He doesn't get picked on a lot, so that's where all those tackles and a little bit higher interception count comes from, but at times he looks very good. He gets grabby at times. He has to definitely lower down his pass interference numbers. I think that's only Zimmer can continue to work on the kid with, and Xavier Rhodes. And if Terrence Newman returns, they can definitely get those numbers down. But if we get him and Xavier Rhodes to be physical corners, but not too physical where they don't get the flags on them, I think we could have some of the best defensive backfields in the whole league. And because we already have perhaps the best safety in the whole league in Harrison Smith. Harrison Smith, another guy that maybe had another down year. I would put it in the box of somewhat of a disappointing year for Harrison Smith. 91 tackles, which is where you would rather not all the tackles go into your safety, because that means they're getting a lot of tackles deep in the coverage, but nevertheless, Harrison plays in the box at times, so you can just assume all those were within the 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. 2 sacks, which is nice for a safety, and no forced fumbles or interceptions on the year. You'd want your safety to get some turnovers for you. Last year he had 2 interceptions. The year before that he had 5. I think 5 is kind of a number you kind of strive for as a safety, especially when Harrison Smith is dubbed by many as the best safety in the whole league. But I think that's a part of his game which still needs to work on, and that is his pass coverage. I think he is the best run defending safety in the league, I think without question. And he's almost a linebacker at times, and he's so good at making plays behind the line of scrimmage. But nevertheless, I think he still played very, very well. And the number 2 safety position has been a question mark for years now. But Andrew Sendejo, I think, stepped up quite a bit, who still not 69 tackles and got a half a sack and 2 interceptions. I think his best year came last year. He's only 29 years old. I think he earned a spot to at least be a perennial special teams player on this team. But I think he's showing that it's going to take a lot to overcome him. Even though I would actually not mind seeing more playing time going to Jayron Kearse, who looked very, very good in preseason. He didn't look quite ready during the regular season when he had to go in for injuries. But he's a 6'4", 215-pound safety. He has Cam Chancellor written all over him, a prototype big safety that can lay on the hits. He's showing off good ball skills in preseason. I am very, very excited for Jayron Kearse, another safety that be competing for that secondary safety position. Was of course Anthony Harris, who ended up starting alongside Harrison Smith instead of Jayron Kearse, who played fairly well in his absence, who got 41 tackles in limited playing time. So another guy that was all over the field when he was in there. He sometimes didn't take the right route to the ball. That comes with lack of experience, but Anthony Harris did play admirably well for a backup safety. I would not mind having him back on the team next year. So a safety position we want to draft in this next year's draft, I would not say so, because I think Deion Kearse has all the potential in the world to be a top-notch safety alongside Harrison. Well, that does finish the Vikings defense review. So thank you guys for watching, and I want to hashtag Skull in the comment section down below. And we'll see you guys next time as I attempt to review the Vikings' atrocious offensive line.